Welcome to the Flicks Picks and the Nitpicks, and I am your host, S01EP02. And we're back at it again, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. T the True. T.
Hello, everybody. T the Truth here.
Alright, man. So, this is episode 2, and this is good because we're now into episode 2, and I'm feeling real good about everything. And, since the second flick isn't picked by me, I'm gonna let T introduce the film that he decided to pick. T.
So, the film that I picked is very special to me. This film was made in 1988. That is over 30 years ago, 32 years to be exact. And I consider this film to be, for me, not only one of the greatest films ever made, but I consider this film to be the greatest action film ever made. And it is the only action movie that I think is worthy of an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. And 32 years later, I still holds up today as a classic, and I'll say it again. It, to me, is the greatest action film ever made, and that is Die Hard.
All right. So it's funny that you posed that question because I know we've talked about this over the years, and I already know how near and dear this film is to you, to your heart, which is kind of fitting because the first film was prominent for me. Most importantly, probably because, especially to the channels, because it was a movie based on the first video I've ever done on a movie was on that movie, and for our first premiere episode we did Man of Steel, which is dope. So it's only fitting that your pick now, and this was your first pick for the series, was one of your favorite action film. I think it's quite poetic. So as you already said, started in 1988. Could you just give us a brief synopsis on the film?
Sure. So Bruce Willis plays New York City detective John McClane, and he's estranged from his wife, played by Bonnie Bedelia, and she has taken a job in Los Angeles at this building called the Nakatomi Plaza, which is like a skyscraper. Bruce Willis, during the Christmas holiday, is going out to visit his wife and their children. They have 2 children together. When he goes to the building to meet his wife, the building is subsequently at the same time taken over by terrorists. And Bruce Willis seems to escape. So the whole movie is about how he's stuck in this confined area in this building and what he has to do to stop the terrorists in this confined space. And the movie only takes place in this one place in over a few hours. And that's the synopsis of the movie.
Oh, all right. Cool. Well, I mean, for me, I got a lot of years in with this film. A lot of toys were being played while this movie was in the background. And it's definitely something that I've grown up with for years. And when T let me know about this being his pick for a movie, I actually watched it earlier today. And it was the first time I've seen it in some years, actually. First time I actually watched this movie in some years. And it was great to watch it after all that time and seeing it like with brand new pair of eyes. So now, let's get into the picks, because that's the show. We're going to get into our major picks of the film that stands out. It's not about being good or not. You can tell when we talk about the picks. So since this is T's flick, and he picked this flick, I'm going to have you set off and set the tone for what is your major pick.
Okay,
First major pick.
My first major pick is 2 words: Bruce Willis. I think. Now, there is another YouTuber named Grace Randolph, and she quotes, I believe, Paul Newman. And she always says that Paul Newman has a quote about putting me in the right role is priceless. Bruce Willis is priceless in this movie. There is nothing I can say negative about his performance, from the serious quiet moments to the wisecracking New York joke moments. He is priceless. He carries the movie. And just to give you a little backstory, Bruce Willis was a TV actor working on a show, Moonlight. The original Die Hard was offered to, I believe, Richard Gere. And they couldn't find an actor. Richard Gere had turned it down. I believe it was Richard Gere. And they couldn't find an actor. And Bruce Willis auditioned for it. And, of course, the studio and the director, John Maturin, took a chance on him. And what a gamble paid off. Because he was a comedic actor. And obviously he had to go to the gym and work out a little bit and just show that he can do this. And absolutely priceless. This is what you get when you get the right actor in the right role.
But that sounds like one of those stories, those weird, almost like cinematic stories about how it really wasn't a role meant for you, and you just happen to walk in, audition, and the first major film that you have was almost tailor fit for your whole prowess and what you bring to the screen outside of what people actually would expect from you at the moment.
And just to keep going with Bruce Willis, obviously it's an action movie. Before then, what did we have? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Stallone. It was, and I'm not taking nothing away from big guys, a lot of muscles, rippling abs. They had to be super martial artists, Commando, Rambo. They were always some special forces. Bruce Willis played a New York City cop. He clearly went to the gym, but he wasn't. He had a guy who you look like worked. He wasn't action, but he looked like a regular guy.
He looked like a blue collar worker, blue collar build.
Right, a blue collar worker. He looked like a guy that went to the gym maybe 3-4 times a week, maybe for an hour.
The 80s gyms. The 80s gyms.
Yeah. Right. So, and it was just, and I just found his performance, there was a certain groundedness to it, a certain realness to it. And again, I can just, like his portrayal of John McClane. So my first pick is Bruce Willis.
Well, my thoughts on that is that you're absolutely right. I think that's a great pick to lead off with, because this was a film that seemed pretty much tailor fit for what he can naturally bring to the screen before we ever really need to create much of an archetype for the character. I think it was just one of those moments where it was a character that would just tailor fit for what you naturally bring to the camera. And anything else is just remembering lines and having a proper chemistry and on and off screen chemistry with your director as well, because there was a lot of close-up shots, tight shots where you had to take a lot of cues I would expect directly from the director to pull off each scene within the frame. But before I even get into my first pick, I wanted to pose a question that hopefully by the end of this episode maybe we all can answer, and that is, and I didn't even realize it was much of a question I've heard. I think Grace Randolph, it's funny you brought her up. I think she was one, or maybe even like a John Campea or Robert Meyer Burnett, that had brought up the question. And it seems to be now with some, maybe it's been going on trending a lot longer than I knew, but is this considered a Christmas movie? Now, for me, before I even watched it, my thoughts on even just the idea of that was kind of interesting. It did take place on Christmas, but I never even looked at it like a Christmas film, at least up to that point, till people started questioning it. And then it's been in my head, and as I've seen a lot of people actually bring it up, it seems to be a trending thing. Is this a Christmas movie? And hopefully by the end of our picks and nitpicks, we will come up with the answer to that. Now, let's go off with yours truly. First pick of the film is, and I will probably be titling this one as John and Mrs. McClane Sitting in the Tree.
Okay.
The title characters' chemistry. And I don't like to be, because I had to watch this before I came into it. And you know me, I always say I don't like going to movie theaters with a pen and a pad. But I've seen this movie several times over, so I already knew it. And I didn't want to cheat the audience and not take this serious and not watch it prior to recording. So I watched this literally up to, T would tell you, he was calling me up when we're going to go. I'm like, I'm still in the middle of the movie. So now that I'm there, I have I have a lot to say within this. Just seeing it for the first time in a long time. And the chemistry between John and McClane and Miss McClane actually Holly carries the whole entire film. The film really lives and dies on, do you believe that this kind of separated couple coming together, seeing each other after so many months apart, and this is the same motel tale kind of, we're not sure if we're going to divorce, but you're moving that way, I'm moving this way. You could kind of tell there was an argument between the two, but they're still technically married. When he gets up there and finds out she's using her maiden name, it doesn't help.
Yep.
But with all of that being said, this film really lives and dies on you believing that they had that backstory, and the fact that he would really risk it all for her. And you had to also believe that they made sense together. And she's a little smartass. Like, she's a real smartass.
Please
just like he is.
You're going to say what I want you to say. Please tell me.
I mean, if we're talking about the part where she says about when you see the, what's the gentleman's name? Carl comes out and slamming the thing after, they still couldn't get John, and she's like, yo, you could, her friend, Holly's friend was saying, the pregnant woman was like, yo, something got that dude pissed off. And she was like, it's John. Only John would get someone that angry. But even so, how she was when they killed Mr. Takanawa, what's his name? Nakatomi, when he got knocked off, and she had to basically be the voice, how she came in and she owned the air around in front of the leader of the terrorists. Well, you nominated me the moment you killed him. Yep. She's a slick broad. This is a slick tongue broad. But she carried it with such femininity. She was still cute because she was all a little bit like, what is she, like 5'2"? Like, she's a little itty bitty thing, and she just had that spunk that was still soft, but very much a compliment towards this blue collar, rugged John McClane, and for her to be this.
When you're done.
Huh?
Sorry. May I piggyback when you're done?
Oh, okay, yeah. For you to have this delicate, petite, but fireball with this kind of, I don't want to say brooding, but this average Joe kind of with this Al Bundy melancholy, if you will, about him. It just works. So when I meant to do some, what I was trying to say from earlier in taking notes and stuff like that, I don't like to watch films writing as I watch. I think that's kind of a corny way to go into the film. That's what I was intending on in the very beginning when I brought it up. But I almost wanted to count the minutes that they were actually on screen, because they weren't really on screen a lot. And that one
argument makes you seem like they're together the whole movie.
Yeah, it made you feel like this was a day in the life of Al Bundy. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell that there was a 360 back, very relatable, blue collar, middle class family story of the wife is trying to elevate, go someplace else. Well, I got my job all the way out here in New York. And well, I gotta go. Well, and there's a big blow up, a little brouhaha, if you will. She go bounce with the kids, because clearly this is the job that is going to garner the money. So she probably will be this is the job that's going to probably put her into carrying the family monetarily for where she's going in the trajectory of her career. And he didn't back her, and you could kind of tell there was a big rift, and he didn't just want to leave New York. He's from New York. I'm sure the idea came up, you could transfer over here, but I'm a New York. It just seemed like a regular, real world, middle class family argument that could actually splinter the family. And we were in the middle of that. And it was what is the director's name?
John McTiernan.
John McTiernan, yeah. The way
just to give you a backstory, John McTiernan is the first director of Predator. Just to give you a backstory.
Oh, that would make sense. That would
directed the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, John McTiernan.
Okay, that's good to know. Then that could also express why it was well executed, because for the driver to kind of be the audience, if you will, by having the conversation there while he was John McClane trying to be standoffish, and he just filling in the blanks. Oh, I could tell this is some bullshit. You fucked up. Y'all just, like he just was able to isolate the real world conflict between in this household. And it really fleshed out John McClane on the ride getting to there. Then when you see them actually together, and even when she was on the phone, like talking to him, actually not talking to him, talking to the nanny about like getting the guest house. So you knew it was a bad argument. The guest room. Why the guest room? Y'all still married? You could tell everything that was chosen had such a nuance to it to give you a three-dimensional story to let you know the fact that it's expected that he'll sleep in the guest house, and he's expecting guest room, and he's expecting to have to stay with a buddy of his that happened to be living out there. It lets you know they were coming in on two opposite ends. They was ready to go gunslinging. Like the idea was that. But really, if you look at the big teddy bear, he really came to make up. That was his intention. And if I could just like kind of end off here, you could kind of tell that she, even though that they knew that they were coming up to meet and it was supposed to be more for the kids, she wanted the room to be made, even though because she expected him not to even want to be there because he don't want to support. But you know what? Let's have the room ready because I'm hoping that he would stay. Like I said, see how we could just stay in the moment of that real world. It was in just very little, you draw so much out of it by the time that we sit them in the room together for the first time, and they do not meet for well after 2 hours after that. Well, not well after, but about 2 hours after that. It's like you just couldn't skip a beat. You felt it, and you wanted to see them reconnect because they had a chemistry. I could have believed that they would have had a sitcom together.
I'm gonna tell you, may I add something?
Oh, please.
If you would have told me that Bruce Willis and Bonnie Bedelia were married in real life, I would have believed it.
In a nutshell.
And here's another thing. When you talk about the marriage and how much they loved each other, now you brought in the scene where she said only John could drive somebody crazy. You know, it's the scene that even talking about it now, I actually have literally goosebumps, but I was like, that's a wife. You know what's the scene I'm going to tell you?
What?
When the guy Ellis goes into the room to betray John, and he tells her, what does John think he's doing? And she goes, his job.
Yep.
Like even though they're arguing,
she knows him.
But also the fact that they were arguing, but once that dude said something foul about her husband, what does your husband think he's doing? His job. And she said it real quick, and I was like, that's a wife. Like, that's even guest house, everything you just said. Once they found that John got away, and they was all mad, and they found that a couple of people got killed off, and Ellis was like, I'm going to go in there, I do $1 million deals before you. What does your husband think he's doing? His job. And I said, wow, that's the wife.
No, that's a whole fact.
I love that scene. Because it was just straightforward, his job. That's what my husband does.
Well, now it's up to you, good sir. Your next pick.
So my next pick is it's funny because I'm going to switch it around. Because you went to the relationship between Bonnie Bedelia and Bruce Willis, I'm going to go to the relationship between Bruce Willis and Reginald Val Johnson.
Okay.
Who played the I forgot the cop's name. But
it's Al. But you know what? I always thought his name was Carl. For some reason, I always thought his name was Carl in the movie because I know his name is really Carl. No, actually, no, it's not. His name is Carl Winslow and whatchamacallit. But I feel like he played another Carl elsewhere. And I always thought it was Carl in this. But anyway.
But I really enjoyed their camaraderie. And remember how I said Bonnie Bedelia backed up Bruce Willis with that one scene? Mm-hmm. Here's the scene where the feds and the other people come in. And this is the scene where Bruce Willis, he blows up the building. And, the captain tells Al, at any moment you could be relieved of duty and go home. And Al says, do you think if he makes if he makes it out alive, you think he gives a damn if you do to him? And he goes, at any moment, Sergeant, you can go home. He goes, sir, you couldn't drag me from here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Remember, he don't even know Bruce Willis. But that little thing that they shared, I ain't leaving. Mm. And it was like, you would think that they were friends forever, because it was kind of one of those, my man is in there. like when he said, he did all this, and he said, you think he gives it, if he makes it out alive, he said he's scared, he's tired, he ain't seen nothing from us. You can tell I love this movie. I'm quoting it. He ain't seen nothing from us down here. You think he gives a damn what you're going to do to him if he makes it out alive? And the captain's like, you can leave at any time. He says, sir, you can't drag me out. Mm-hmm. And then remember, he's talking to his superior. And those are the moments where it was like, this ain't even about rank. Something ranks higher. Now, I ain't leaving.
It's a cop thing. It's a brotherhood thing. They just had a bond, but also I think it was most important because he's a cop. At the end of the day, we're cops, and I think that was the bond. That's why he was like, I could read him out. You can't. We're cops.
Or even at the end, remember they never seen each other. Remember at the end when Bruce Willis, survives, and he looks at him in that quiet, Al, and they just start laughing. He just knew it was you. Mm-hmm. He just walks out as mad cops. He looks and just goes, Al.
They were just staring at each other, but yeah. It's like, yeah.
And they just and they gave a hug. You know what I mean?
A very believable hug, yeah.
Yeah, it's very believable. So that is my next pick. Since you brought up the relationship between him and the wife, his pseudo partner.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on that is I totally concur. I really think that, especially for for them to carry the relationship never even on screen all the way up to where they ended, I think the way the director went about peppering the conversations throughout and also letting you know that they were actually bonding. And you got to give Reginald Val Johnson a lot of credit. Even though he's so Carl Winslow, they needed a Carl Winslow.
Yeah.
He was he was designed to be the guy that you just didn't even you the last guy you'd expect to be there, but the only guy that could have bonded with a guy like him. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's just now starting his family with his wife, they were two blue collar guys, and these are the type of guys that probably at like a cop bar they would have chopped it up and been lifelong homeboys. Mm-hmm. But in any event, for my second pick, it really had to be tension. I think the director had made sure to pepper a lot of key scenes, from the vents to the closed places to just, even though it was a small moment, him having to be underneath the table while the guy's on top and he's following no more desk. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There was always a moment where they let you know exactly how alone John is, and even in a lone moment, he could like hit the lighter and let you know, like, and he always got like a little cheesy quip right in the middle, ready for you. Because no matter where he is, how he is, he's always John.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that he went through was almost like American Gladiator for him. There was always a new level. And it was a very, for people to say that there's never been a good video game movie, this is how you should structure one, to be quite honest. And if you could let me carry this thought just a tad further, he had limited resources. He didn't even have shoes, so shoot the glass. He's always had an obstacle that was in front of him as he went to each level till he got to the end of the explosion and then the final end boss. It really was, even before the explosion, he had to go through Sagat before he got to M. Bison, and by the time he got to M. Bison, which could probably be the explosion from the top, you could say he met Akuma, or the real M. Bison, if you will, Hans Gruber. And the way they kept ratcheting each moment up, taking it up the next level, and you know, the wife beater got grayer and grayer and grayer, which could have been a cast member onto itself, to the fact that I think they almost felt like they gave him, they didn't even blacken it. I almost felt like they gave him just a black wife beater at one point. So I said, fuck it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really think that how the director showed the tight close quarters from the vents, and always parrying between where the villain was, where he's trying to get to, how they organized each and every shot for where John McClane was, where he was going to where the bad guys are now trying to lead off and figure out where he is, to when they get to him, when they just miss, and the obstacle he gets over to get to the next stage, if you will. And it was very much like a video game, and you would think that a video game movie would use that as some sort of idea in which how to pace out a film, if you will, or go just to level it out. But either way you look at it, like I said, the scenes of tension I thought was shot like, probably, I could honestly say you could see where this up the level of action films. You could honestly see where they was like, this has to be one of those keyframes in terms of action filmmaking that says, all right, now how do we take it to that ushered in your Lethal Weapons and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
May I jump in?
Thoughts?
Oh, excellent. And I'm going to piggyback off what you said when you said about building tension. What I love is they built the tension and it upped the level, and it never seemed cartoony. Like, for example, and I'm going to show you brought up a key scene, and I'm going to show you what good directing is. When he says shoot the glass, right? And all the glasses on the floor. John's machine gun runs out, so he's just got his handgun. He looks across and he sees the exit. But when he looks down, he sees all the glass and he looks at his feet. Tell me you did this. Tell me without even seeing him run, you already felt it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Those were one of the moments that actually stood out.
Like, you
growing up, like that's one of the biggest
man,
moments. Shooting the glass and then you just look down and it's like, damn.
But as an audience member, you looked at him, look at his feet, all the glass, and you knew he had to run it. And so we didn't have to see a scene of him running and his feet being cut. You already, once he looked down and he showed his feet in the glass, you as an audience member say, damn, that's just going to hurt. Like, you know what I mean?
And one thing I will say that's very, if I could jump in real quick, is something that the director decided to do, which I thought was very interesting. He set up a lot of things that we was going to have to revisit that was in the very beginning, even when he was like, yo, the guy told him, oh, be barefoot on the carpet. That's one of the first things he does, that balls his feet into a fist. And he was like, yeah, all right, whatever, that shit sounded stupid. He said, yeah, but it's what I do. And then what they do just before he meets his wife, when he comes in, he goes, get the fuck out of here. I actually do feel all right.
Yeah.
And the fact that not when they took over the building, he never even got to get his shoes back on. It just set it up from the very beginning that that was something that he was eventually going to have to deal with when he even ran into Hans Gruber. And he looked down at his feet. He was like, yeah, you know, well, I could have got caught with my pants down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like you kind of knew everything that as it built up, where this was gonna lead, even down to them finding out that he had a family and kids, and then you start to realize why he had to use well, it's obvious why he had to use different names, but as it unraveled even further, he really had to make sure they didn't know that his wife was down there. He needed to them to think that he was a random motherfucker.
And also, when you talk about tension, and it's intelligent tension. When he meets Hans Gruber, and he asks him, what's your name? And he says, Bill Clay. And he didn't realize Bruce Willis already read the thing, and he already knew he was lying. And when he gave him the empty gun, that whole scene between them, when he pulls the trigger, and Bruce Willis goes, oops, no bullets. What do you think, I'm fucking stupid? You know what I mean? Like it was, I love that scene. He knew he gave him the empty gun, but when he pulled the trigger, he was like, you think I'm fucking stupid? And you know what's crazy? That was such a man New York shit. You think I'm fucking stupid? And then obviously, and then when the elevator, Hans goes, you were saying, because his boys came. Or when Bruce Willis jumped off the roof, you know what's the scene I love? When he makes it through, when he jumps off the roof, he crashes through the glass. When the hose fell down and it was almost going to pull him off.
Yeah, that was like the next level in the obstacle, just when you thought you made it.
But what I thought was great acting is when he gets free and he has that facial expression like, you're like, I made, you know what I mean?
And then he realized the shit came down. It's like, oh shit.
Or I thought, you know, you talked about the little jokes. When he's in the
he said something, we can have a few laughs. I forgot how he said.
But you know what's funny? That was a real thing. How many times in real life has you been invited somewhere, something goes wrong, and you speak to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, I never found any of the jokes corny. It was just really, that's something I would have said. Come up to the town, we're having a few laughs. Yeah, right. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought that just when it comes to building tension, yeah, the director, I thought it was just a great marriage of tension. I guess it's Michael, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, here's where I'm going to go because we went to tension. Action sequences. This movie has some of the best bare-knuckle, raw action sequences I've seen. Even for the fight scenes. And you know what I loved? It was just raw fight scenes. And Bruce Willis talking during the fight scenes. Motherfucker, I'll kill you.
Yeah, he was rambling a lot.
And the funny thing is, I've seen real fights where dudes are locked in headlocks and they're friction at each other. You know, like the scene where he fights the dude, the main bad guy, not Hans Gruber, his main guy. When
Carl.
When the guy puts the gun, he goes, we're both professionals, and Bruce Willis knocks the gun, and he just pushes, starts punching him, and then when they're rolling around, you hear Bruce Willis, motherfucker, I'll kill you. And it's almost like during the fight, he's hyping himself up.
Sure, I even realized he screamed, but motherfucker, I'll kill you. I gotta go watch that again.
When he has him in the headlock before he chokes him, what does Bruce Willis say? I'm gonna fucking cook you, I'm gonna fucking eat you. Like, he was really talking during the fight, but even the shootout scene, I thought this had some really raw, bare-knuckle action sequences. Really, just from the fight scenes to the machine gun scene to, you know, I just thought these had some really, that's it, raw, bare-knuckle action sequences. I never saw action sequences like that, where it was just, they were tense, they were raw, like, it wasn't a bad damn stylized fight scene. And also, when he fights the main bad guy is doing all the kung fu karate stuff. Bruce Willis is just fighting for his life, but you could tell he's a guy, I've been in a fight. You know what I mean?
I mean, and that's one thing they really executed well. He wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a Van Damme show or display. Right. It wasn't it wasn't none of those clean stuff. It was just raw, but you could tell I've been in a few fights. I've been in fights before, but this, and I'm gonna fight you very, just using the environment around him. He kept it like a real street fight.
Mm-hmm.
And where this guy was trying to use all his little kung fu training or whatever, he was like, nah. And you could tell, like, you know, Bruce Willis didn't come off like he was never a trained dude, but he was fighting for his life. I mean, he had no shoes on. It was just a different type of scenario. So yeah, without question.
So I thought action sequence wise, I thought was just amazing. The action sequences, it goes with the tension. With tense action sequences that were real raw, gritty, bare knuckle action sequences.
Well,
your turn.
Well, my next one would be, and I guess I touched on it already, but it needs to be like singled out is the pacing as its own separate thing. The pacing and how they knew exactly when to bring the joke in, when to show that if Bruce Willis is hanging from here and he has to swing before the rope on the gun, because the gun was kind of like holding him in place while he hung off the shoulder carrier on it. He had to use that to drape down so he could jump off to the ventilation system. When you see this whole sequence from going from there to going catching it to the villain trying to find him, just missing him, and then he gets into a new situation where the new obstacle is now I'm in the vent. He makes a joke, you know, yeah, come out here, yeah, have a few drinks and have a few laughs. Right. Now he's in the vent. They're still looking for him because remember, he told him to come down. He was like, fuck that, I'm gonna go find this nigga. Went down there, pulled his strap out, started shooting up the top of the vent because he trying to bring him out. Just that fluid motion of it kept me as an audience member totally engaged, totally aware, and totally into the film. I mean, it really knows how to pace you from one situation to another. And I like to talk about even just going through the thing of shooting the glass and he looks at his foot and then all of a sudden there was no need to show him running it. Just looking at his feet, we felt it. So when he opened up the door, and I always remember as a kid seeing that foot dragging all that blood, it was like, damn, you know that shit was in his foot. Like that shit was not, that was the real hot potato. And they didn't even need to see it just to get us to the next scene, because it was handled beautifully, because the weight of what we did it scene hit us as soon as we seen him dragging himself through the door and the trail of blood right behind. But the pacing of going from one scene to the next scene to him, like everything just was well paced out, scene to scene to scene, ratcheting it up at the right moment and knowing exactly when to breathe and exactly when to produce that natural, probably unscripted Bruce Willis off the cuff like liners. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, all of that. And I'll be honest with you, it was a type of film that was paced in such a way that I think the only other film to take that model and take it to the next level, or maybe not the next level, but I'll say definitely was a key frame, but more a throwback to where I guess this film kind of set it off. And I'm sorry to say that after all these years, this being one of my top movies, I want to say even a favorite of mine. Yeah, one of my faves, Speed. Because Speed paced itself from one thing to another. And I feel like just watching Die Hard, it was like, I wonder if the director of Speed had a certain affinity for this film.
Can I give you a little fact?
I'm listening.
So the director of Speed's name is Jan de Bont, right?
Okay.
He's the cinematographer on Die Hard.
Cut it out. He cut his teeth on that. That's funny. How about that? That?
His name is Jan de Bont. He was the cinematographer or something. I think it was the cinematographer something on Die Hard.
How about that?
Yep.
That might be something I might have to look into. Maybe even do a little. I want to do editorials. That might be something. That's something to keep in the corner of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anything else? Thoughts?
No, like I said, man, Die Hard is everything you said. I completely agree with. Also, little details, like you said, from he had to take off his tank top and wrap. Here's another detail. Now, it's going to sound weird because somebody pointed it out to me, but the scene where, you know, he ties the hose around and he jumps off the roof and he crashes through the window and the thing almost drags him down. And you know how he has to roll off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone pointed out, if you look at Bruce Willis's chest here, they sprinkled broken glass on it. Yep. Like, that's how detailed they were. Or after you notice parts of the movie, he's limping because of the glass towards the end.
Oh, well, he should, but the fact that they make sure not to forget to keep...
Like, they made sure not... Like, who... Like, it's just very detailed. And I just, like I said, I can really marvel about this movie. So everything you said, I agree with.
So carry us into your next pick if you have another pick.
No, I really don't have another pick. I think that I hit it all. I think Bruce Willis, the relationships that he had with his wife, his partner, the actors, I think everybody was casted well. I think the tension, the fact that he had to let Ellis die. What did he tell him? Tell these people you don't know me, they're going to fucking kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they shot him, when Hans said, yo, maybe I'll shoot everybody and I'll get to someone you do love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was Bruce Willis' response? It wasn't, oh my God, my wife, I'll give myself. It was, go fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm. Because he was like, I know you ain't going to do that because that's all you got.
Yes. And then what did his...
The only leverage you got.
Right. So then what did the captain say to Al? He just let him down. What did Al say? Yo, if he gives himself up, they'll both be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that, or even the scene where you said he was in the shaft, and it wasn't when he shot that I liked. Remember when he started pressing the gun up to see if there was any weight?
Yeah.
And remember how Bruce Willis tried to creep up a little bit so he didn't feel the weight?
Yeah, he tried to move to the side, so yeah.
And then remember how he had to take his gun and slowly cock it and aim it down just in case.
Yeah.
If they figured out, I'm going to try to get one shot off. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, like you said, the tension. So, I'm just going to end it. Well, I guess we'll go to nitpicks, right?
No, because I actually had another pick.
Okay, go.
Since you had no more picks, I actually had a fourth one, and it was a dance between the 80s aesthetic but I actually capped out to the villains. Hans and Carl were the hallmarks in terms of classic villainy from the 80s type of style, but it wasn't with this corny veneer. It actually brought in the right tension. Even though Hans came off very above ground, he was very Skeletorish in the way he carried himself. Because even being on the ground when he acted off like he was like this little weasel scared, but he really was no pussy.
Yeah.
The thing is, but the thing is, he was that weasel. He wasn't really too far off from acting. He just was no pussy. Because that was the kind of way he was when he was with the wife, when she was still talking and you just a common thief. He said no. And he crawled over the same way. He didn't get up and walk over in that cool way, the way he entered when he took over the building. He was the way he really was as a sniveling idiot. I'm going to sell you this idea that this is for the liberation of the people. But at the bottom line, I'm a sniveling little ass. And the thing is, he was. Because the way he crawled over, he was like, but I'm an exceptional thief. Get that shit the fuck right. And I thought that he was just a classic, a weasel villain that still knew when to carry like he was the supreme threat. Even though you could tell he wasn't really a fist fighter. That he wasn't. But he bust his shit.
And the scene where he's busting his gun, his whole facial expression is different.
Yeah, because he's a soldier. You can tell he's a soldier. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's got some hand training, but he was at the muscle Carl was at. That's what Carl was about. And I think Carl was that same type of henchman, your Goldar, if you will, if you want to citate the Power Rangers. He was just one of those, like, your strong, he was the guy that was that regal, big, tough, macho guy, but you could tell he wasn't exactly the brains. Not that he was stupid. He was, yo, once you piss me the fuck off, I see nothing but red. I'm all green on everything's a go. And that's when you needed like a Hans Gruber. You could tell he's a thinker. I'm not really a fighter. I don't think he's no pussy with the hands. Not to say that we had any moments with him doing it. I just think that wasn't his area of expertise. Like, he's not a fighter. I'll fight your ass. You know what I mean? But I'm not no fighter. But I bust my shit. like, don't get this shit fucked up. And I ain't afraid to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think these, for them to be so different and still so classic was kind of a good standout for the film. That I think that was a strong additive in it. Now, with that being said, that's my last pick. It's on to the nitpicks. I'll let you take the lead.
I'm going to be completely honest. I have none. I honestly, and this is what I'm going to say about Die Hard, and this is why I have no nitpicks. I honestly believe it's a perfect movie from the first frame to the end. I cannot find and I tried. I cannot find, there are plenty of movies I love that I could find something I didn't like that. There is nothing in this movie that I do not like, and I will say this. It's not my industry, I'm just a lover. But if you are an up-and-coming director and you want to direct action movies, Die Hard is to be studied.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean,
Die Hard is to be studied.
I mean,
John, you know what's funny? We gave Bruce Willis a lot of credit. Let's give a shout out to John McTiernan, the director.
Oh yeah, without question, you could tell that this was a marriage of a lot of great moving pieces, and I really feel like the film shows that these guys had to have had fun. I feel like the film expresses this.
It's such a simple concept. He's stuck in a building with terrorists, but it's all about the execution. So I honestly, there are no nitpicks. I really believe Die Hard is a perfect movie from front to end. I honestly stand by that. I know Academy Awards and Oscars don't like action movies. I think Die Hard is worthy of a Best Picture nomination. Not really, but I do believe if you said, let me pick an action movie that could honestly put up there with all the other movies and say for Best Picture, I think Die Hard is it. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, well, I got nitpicks.
Okay,
they're crazy, but after the nitpicks, I do have to add another pick, a surprising pick, but I think it was one that went over a lot of people's heads, and me watching it again really stood out to me. Okay, but let's get into my nitpicks. One nitpick was when John McClane throws the dude out the window onto the car. That's a minor nitpick, but watching it, I get he had to do that to get his attention. I think that was more than enough. Him shooting out the window just so you can know where I'm at on the floor made sense. I didn't understand why he was shooting at the car. I had to rewind that shit. I'm like, nigga, is you shooting at the car? Because you kind of really being reckless with your bullets because you could have shot the cop. like he was really airing off, and I was like, maybe I'm bugging because some shots it looked like he was shooting straight off, which would have made sense because I would air off just so you can feel the aggression, but most importantly, I want you to read what fucking floor I'm on.
Okay, I think.
But when it kept showing the car, it kept looking like it was hitting the top of the car. I was like, yo, bro, I think you overdoing the shooting, because I would expect it to pierce through the roof and it could hit the officer. So I thought that was just a little like, I don't know. And in the way they were cutting it, it was sometimes, I don't know if they liked the aesthetic of it looking like it's shooting the top of the car, or when they showed him firing, it looked like he was at first it looked like he was shooting down, but then when you see them pull back, it looked like he's shooting out, which would make sense, like he's shooting off to the side. But then it seemed like when you see them get by the car, it look like it's hitting the top of the car, and it's like, yo, bro, you wilding right now. I think you just throwing the guy off the roof, and let's be for real, if he was sitting in the car, that might have bust his head, son.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but either way, and I was like, I'd let that slide. You had to throw the body off, and if you could get it to hit the car, you got his attention. But the shooting was just a little reckless. I was like, yo, what the fuck? You shooting the car? And it looks cool until it got me thinking like, yo, but bro, you really shooting the car. Like, you really might hit him. But, and then my second nitpick, and it might have been a byproduct of the time, but maybe not so much. Oh, man. The noticeable stuntman. Like, there was some scenes where that stuntman's head is so different than Bruce Willis. It was mad long. His hair was extra reddish brown. And it was like, yo, that's not you. Some scenes where you could tell it's not, because now it got me aware. I could know, like, that's not you. But those were good. I'm not even doing that. There was some kind of obvious ones that went over my head as a kid, and like I said, I haven't seen it in years. So me watching it again, it was like, wow, like maybe 2 or 3 scenes, and that's totally not John. And I'm not even talking about the other scenes where you look for it, like, because I started but those were pretty decent. Now there were like 2 or 3 ones I was like, nah, that ain't even him. like I think we needed to do something a little different there. But maybe because I'm up on my, like, the way it's situated watching it, I just caught it. It was a little bit funny to me. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on any of my nitpicks.
No. I mean, actually, I think your first nitpick is a good nitpick. You shot up the car. I think that's an actual good nitpick. That'll be a scene I have to revisit. I never would have thought about that, but if you really want to, I see that. I can see that. So,
what about the stuntman?
I would have to look at it again, because I guess maybe I love the movie so much, but I guess.
I mean, but it's a minor thing for me. But yeah, keep going.
So I will leave it at that. But I could understand the whole shooting of the car.
Yeah, man. Like, it just caught me off guard, because at one point I was like, he's shooting. I'm like, I think you're shooting down. I get it. It don't look like you're hitting. And it was like you pull back from another angle. You see more from the car. And like, cars like even like moving, like, what the fuck you shooting? And then it's like, then you see in the shots, like, is he shooting the car? And then they'll pull back and it look like he's shooting off to the side so you can see the light going that way. And then you back at the car where he's backing it up, and it's like, niggas, you still shooting the car? He already get the point. Like, yo, I think you might hit him. Like, you a little reckless, brother. Chill out. I get it. But all that being said, I do want to pick another pick out there, and I think it was more of the times, because I have to put it out, and it's something that I never noticed, and it's weird that it fits with the time. And I'll walk it back. The moment where he gets to know Al. And he was like, well, you got a flat foot. And it was funny he was saying it because he was pulling the glass out of his feet at the time. And he could have obviously let them know it was open airway. So, the guys would have known that his feet was fucked up. Mm-hmm. So he was just like, you got a flat foot. What's that mean? Like, you just a desk guy and whatnot. Yeah. And then he tells a story. He said he shot a 13-year-old. And I'm thinking, so the 13-year-old was like the aggressor, and he makes it a point to say that he had a toy gun, and it was dark, and I couldn't tell. And he just you could tell it fucks with him, and it almost makes you wonder, like, you ain't get locked up, but that's back in those days. But I liked how he expressed the anguish of making a fucking mistake like that. So obviously, if it wasn't his fault, and obviously it goes through internal affairs and all of that, and these his backstory really said a whole lot, even for the time we are today. Me watching that scene, because it was like I haven't seen it in years. So when he's going through, it's like 13. I'm like, 13-year-old. I like that, man. That's crazy, because I'm thinking the kid was the aggressor, like he the bad guy, and he was like, no, not even that. And he says, yo, it was just so dark. I didn't know what that gun was. I couldn't tell that was a toy. And he fired. And they never say if the kid died or not. I'm hoping the kid lived, just because he's a nice guy. And he never wanted to go back out there on the beat. So I'm assuming he had that option. So I'm assuming that the kid might not have died at all. Or he I don't even think if he even mentioned that he hit the kid. But the way he took it, it seemed like he might have. And the nuance of that moment. And for the times that we in today, and he was like, I took the desk job because just what he just never wanted to draw his gun again. And it's funny because there's a scene in Family Matters. I punched you back in now because now I'm not exactly sure. Like, we got cut off a little bit. So where did I leave off at that you heard?
Left off with the Al where he made the mistake shooting the kid.
Yeah, and they never really specify, if I could catch you up. They never really specified whether or not if he hit the kid or not. So you don't really know.
Right. One of the things I did like what he said was...
Well, let me, if I could finish. Excuse me. So they never really expressed whether or not he hits the kid or not. You would assume it goes through IA, of course, but the fact that they said it was his own, why he never wanted to get off of pencil desk duty, almost like it was a choice. Like he could have went back out. It did. I mean, he's still on a beat cop, but I guess he might have even actually alludes to might have having been a higher station, or why he never wanted to even go no further. He just wanted to do regular routine shit, and it seemed like it was a choice because he didn't want to draw his gun. Now, where I'm not like if you cut off there, where I was getting to was, it reminded me of an episode of his cop character, which sometimes to me watching that movie, I always feel like in my mind, and at some point I always thought that Chicago had something to do with this film. Either he was a New York cop going to Chicago, because I always felt like the building was in Chicago for some reason, never LA. Because when I seen the palm trees, I was like, this was LA? I thought it was Chicago. So my head was like, maybe he was a cop from Chicago. And they was like, he's from New York. And my mind was like, why did I always think this film took place in Chicago, though? But in any event, in Family Matters, it always feels like he's the same character. This is probably why I always felt like his name was Carl. But it always felt like he was playing the exact same character. And one thing he even said in the show was, I forget how many years he might have been on the beat. He said, 15 years. I think he said he never drew his gun. And I think the episode might have been the first time he drew it.
Okay.
In Family Matters. But there was an episode where he talked about how many times he's drawn his gun. And that was the first time I realized that, you're absolutely right. There's officers out here that, they're not making movies out here on the streets every day. Every day is not John McClane. There's a lot of officers that my whole life I've never even seen action. Never had to pull my pistol out for not a fucking reason. So for him to say that I didn't want to pull my pistol out. So it gets up to that climax that when the shooting happened and you see him turn around, Bruce was turning around like, who the fuck popped him? And you see that lingering moment. It was like, yeah, man, back to action. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that never wanted to draw his pistol. He had a whole story onto himself. And just like I said, it stood out to me watching it because it was like, how about that? Because the whole time I was engaged, I was like, oh, yeah. He didn't want to draw his... I was like, oh, yeah, maybe the kid was not at all. Like, this was a legit mistake. And again... So we had a little technical difficulty in the middle of, but where we were up to, I should say, is basically, like I said, that my miscellaneous pick, it was just really because it was just a hallmark of the time and for me watching it. And as I listened and was starting to recall it, and he told the story of shooting the kid, it was just like, it was Tamir Rice, just rang a bell. It was everything that we're dealing with right now, and the fact that you could tell the weight of it was, and the responsibility of it, and how it made him recoil, because clearly he's a cop, like just how he related to John McClane. You could tell that that was a moment in which we expressed a lot of character development via a significant happenings that happened in his history, which will tell you a lot about how these guys could be very relatable to each other, and how they didn't mind commanding the vulnerability it took to express, like how John said that he's never said sorry before. Well, here you go right now. You see him express his vulnerability when asked about what kind of office he is. And if you see how they were talking to him, like even the commanding officer, they would look down at him as a flatfoot. But you could clearly tell he's in sync with this cop shit. You know what I mean? Like he could feel it out. Like he could tell you doing certain things you didn't have to do. Like that's not. Don't start sending in the guys like this. We got a guy on the inside. Most of our intel came from him. And even though you're right, we don't know who this guy is. He could feel it out. His gut. He even talked about his gut, if I'm not mistaken, at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell, like it, just like how she said, like he's doing his job. They're cops. When they're in mode, they're in mode. And you see how quick it was at the very end when the bad guy showed up without hesitation. Pull out. I'm still a cop, you know, and you could tell that just telling the story, I'm supposed to protect and serve. And in that moment, and it was so dark, and he expressed how difficult it was, and I didn't do my job, but that's my job. And they never, like I said, they never talk about whether he died or the kid died or not. I guess they leave it up to your imagination. I kind of got the impression you would think he died, but they never really specify because he's still working. He's still there. I mean, it was just a fascinating pick. I just wanted to sit outside of this because I don't want politics to be part of it. But it was a significant pick that stood out, at least to me, watching it for the first time in years and realizing this was sitting here the whole fucking time. Thoughts?
Well, no, that's a great pick, and I remember the scene where he says to John McClane, you know, they can teach you everything as a cop except how to live with a mistake. And that was it. And I thought it came full circle where at the end he was the only one that was alert. Then when the bad guy made that last guest appearance, who shot him? It was Al. He was the only one that was ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how about that? The guy that was the one that was only one that was ready was a guy that took a desk job, a beat job, because he didn't really want to be out there actively pulling his pistol.
And the funny thing was, he was just John's earpiece. He didn't see no action. Mm-hmm. But I think being there in John's earpiece, it started that muscle started coming back to him. Because you would think it was over, and when the bad guy made his last guest appearance, it was the most unlikely person who was the quick draw McGraw. Mm-hmm. And you see when he shot him, the look on his face, like he was almost in disbelief that I bust my gun. Mm-hmm. Like it was almost like he probably didn't even think about it. Like and I guess maybe that was the moment he needed, but I thought it was a really touching scene where he said, you know, they teach you everything as a rookie or whatever, except how to live with the mistake.
I mean, that's absolutely right. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's nothing more poetic than to end it right there for such a 80s action flick. That is a good line to end on. It says so much with using so little. Yeah,
that's it. So I guess because this is my movie, should I take a lead, or would you want to ask me something?
No. I mean, any final thoughts in referencing this film to our viewers?
I can't listen for the viewers out there. If you haven't seen,
and obviously that's it for my nitpicks. I only had those two.
So, well, let me ask you a quick question before I give my last to the viewers. I have said that I think Die Hard's a perfect movie. And I have said that I think it is Academy Award winning, nominated. Not win, but I think that Die Hard is the top of the top of everything we discussed. Is there any part of you that agrees with me, or you think I'm a little too far-fetched?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to finish your thought.
You don't have to have the same feelings I have. But as someone who just watched Die Hard, where do you see Die Hard on the scale of action movies, or a movie as a whole?
Well, talking with you over the years, and especially as of late, realizing how much of an affinity you had for the film, um, it
Do you
made me
understand
start
why?
paying attention to it a lot more in terms of in memory. Now, watching
Mm-hmm.
it again, now is sitting back as you asked me this question, I can honestly say, one, I already told you that from the very beginning, you could tell like this is a film that you could tell took was setting a new bar, setting a new standard for action filmmaking, down to changing up the aesthetic. This was probably the first time we had the blue collar every Joe type of physique, as opposed to the superhero or ultra muscular, like they'll have this construction worker, but not every construction worker look like they
Right,
body
right, right.
build on the weekends. No, like regular construction worker looks strong, looks like they can handle some shit, but that don't mean that they got cuts and shit for days. They not
But
walking superheroes.
it'll be Van Damme playing a construction worker, but his backstory was he was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to do that. So like I think this was the first time you had a very believable physique, and and for the kind of character he was a guy with a questionable hairline. and not out of age. You could just tell that's just also his head shape and just how his hairline is, and he still was able to carry off the leading man unassumingly, kind of like the way you would say, uh, who's the new guy that play the Daniel Craig of the genre. He was the first
Okay, yeah.
guy that opened up that. Clearly you command the screen. Clearly you could tell like they got charisma. They got a different type of rugged attractiveness to the ladies that you could tell that the girls will like them. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you always, all the superheroes are leading guys, they have an archetype of being, yeah, that's the action hero. Yeah, you could tell. Because
And to
they
be
have
honest,
a
like you
certain type
said,
of aesthetic.
Bruce
His,
Willis is completely the opposite archetype.
he not. I mean, yeah. I mean, clearly you
I mean,
could tell that
as
he would be your Zach Morris, and the girls will like. He could play that role, but as far as the archetype of the genre, especially at the time, he physically was not that at all. And for them to go with this kind of rugged look, the Daniel Craig look, because I hear a lot of people said that about Daniel Craig in terms of aesthetically speaking. When you think of him, Daniel Craig, the next 007, until you see him do the role, then you'd be like, I never thought to
Yeah, yeah.
make 007 really have a rugged aesthetic instead of the pretty boy aesthetic. And that's what I felt like they brought to the genre, and I think that's a keynote. And and just how they pasted out the roller coaster ride experience of a well crafted action film. I would have to say it has to be up there as one of the most important action films created in the history of action films. I would have to say it's definitely, if there was a 5, you know what, watching this movie, it better be, Die Hard has to be in the conversation.
So
Can I say,
concur.
would I say it should have been nominated? It wouldn't be fair for me to say, because I didn't know what was out at the time. I couldn't even tell you that year like that. So it just wouldn't be, it
I think
wouldn't
I'm
be fair.
explaining. No, I'm not. No, no. I guess let me explain it again. I'm not saying up against what came out. I'm just judging the film. If we're saying that action films are never considered, if you considered an action movie that you thought this is worthy of a nomination, could Die Hard be on that list? Not what was up or what came out. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I understand. I understand it does have to win, but it should it even could it have been one of those films to have the recognition of being nominated?
As a film, like front to back, like I that I really think that
I would want to think on it a lot longer, but for the sake of obviously the show, I'd with the option to possibly change, though I probably won't. I feel like I could be committed to it. I would probably have to err on the side of yes, like that, Lethal Weapon 1, or you know what I mean, like in terms of that time, and if it would have had a nomination, yeah, I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't. I would say if there had to be any of those times, yeah, yeah, nomination is, if anyone should have had a nomination for Oscar, I don't see why Die Hard wouldn't be part of the conversation. Yeah,
Well, that's
it's
it.
that
That's it. I feel
significant.
like I,
I would
yeah,
say it's that significant.
yeah, I would say this, and
I
you
guess the
mentioned,
reason why I'm a little remiss is because you're so hard to see them even consider a film like that. I have to
yeah,
readjust my lens for it, because you know, when we hear of Oscar nominated films and performances, you think of a different type of
right, that's what I'm
filmmaking.
saying.
So
You don't
that's
think,
why I'm like, when I think of it, if there was any of those action films, because it's still considered like the action films with all the things that come with it, even the
yeah,
80s cheese thing idea, that's, it still carries a little bit of that into it. But to be honest, it's a yes. You know what? I'd have to say, yeah. For direct, as a film and directing, yeah.
that's it. Like I said, I'm not looking for a win. I don't remember. I'm just saying because we know that these type of movies never get recognized that way, and I think it is one of those movies that can be recognized. And again, I do believe this. If you are a filmmaker who wants to direct action movies, I think that you would be doing yourself a disservice if you were like, what are the movies I should study if Die Hard is not at the list? You know what I mean?
No, I feel you. I actually
You coming
really,
out, you went to film school and you're like, yo, I want to direct action movies. Okay, what movies did you like? Well, I watched this, and this. Oh, you mean Die Hard wasn't on your list? Oh no, you got to go back.
nah. Actually, like I said, I would have to agree. I think this film is that significant, especially to the genre, but also as a submission and just quality filmmaking.
And then you think about Passenger 57, Under Siege, you said Speed. These are all John McClane's babies.
Babies, yeah. These are their children, yeah.
These are all John McClane's babies.
Well, we're at that end point. So, that's your final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thought is to the audience before we say goodbye. If you haven't seen Die Hard, I implore you to please go check it out. For those of the audience members, obviously I said it was made in 1988. So the audience members that may be born in the 90s, maybe in your early 20s, it is one of those movies that you can go back. It's, to me, it stands the test of time. Like Nas's Illmatic or Biggie's Ready to Die. I think it stands the test of time, and I think you should, if you haven't seen Die Hard, you should see it. And for those who haven't seen it in a long time, revisit it. I think that it is, to me, the greatest action movie ever made. And if it's not the greatest, it should be on the Mount Rushmore of action movies. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, if I could close, I do feel like Die Hard is a film that, I mean, yeah, I make jokes about how you could notice some of the stunt guys, but I mean, outside of that, and those are just like relative nitpicks, it is a well crafted film, hands down, and is worth the study, especially if you want to know how to pace a well crafted action film. I think this is something that you want to keep in your notebook, you know. But just in terms of just like I said, I mean, it's all about, one thing I love about our throwbacks is, and I really hope that we reach back and we're gonna cover a lot of different genres just moving forward. I mean, it's all about just watching these films, enjoying them, seeing them from a different lens, and also just appreciating all the corners of filmmaking that actually can stand out in films. I mean, sometimes you see in some of our picks, it don't have to always be the cast. It could actually be the aesthetic, the what stands out, or the pacing that actually presses forward to your mind, that always makes you want to revisit these films. And that's about it for me, but I will say this: it is a time capsule worthy movie of the '80s. Like, if you need an '80s something that could signify '80s action films, if there was three, definitely Die Hard should be in there. With that being said, now it's not about what we think. It's all about what you guys out there think.
Wait a minute. You missed the question.
Oh, shit. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The question that we did have was, is this Die Hard a Christmas movie? I will still say, and one of my bros out back just came in the middle of recording, and between filming, I actually was talking to him about it. He said the same thing as me in terms of, you don't really think of this as a Christmas movie. I never thought of it as a Christmas movie as a kid, like Christmas movies, but it's so Christmas. That's the best way I can answer it. It's not a Christmas movie, but it is so Christmas down to the feels. I think I've watched it around Christmas before now, thinking about it. I mean, I'm sure I've watched it several times around that time anyway, like any time, but definitely around it. But it never was a movie I would go to for a Christmas mood. But now, I don't know. I might. I might. But is it a Christmas movie? I'll say no, but I have to say it because I have to choose. I have to be committal, but it definitely can be. How about you?
As much as I love the movie, I would say no. And why I say no is, though Christmas is the reason why he goes out there during the holiday season, I do not think Christmas plays a key role. I think that if you, let's say he went out there 4th of July, I think you have the same movie.
I think if they did, they would have made it a 4th of July. I feel like they would have made it a 4th of July movie with the fireworks, but carry on.
For example, at the end where he straps the gun to his back, the Christmas, tape.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? If it was 4th of July, or it wasn't during the holiday season, he would have just found regular duct tape. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think that Christmas plays such a significant role.
No, not particularly.
So I would say no. It's not a Christmas movie in the holiday spirit. I don't think it plays a key role in the movie as much as I love it.
Well, that's the question of the day. So you guys, leave it in the comments below. What do you think? The infamous question will always be ringing and hanging over the head of this film: is Die Hard an action, just a regular is it a Christmas film or is it not? We leave it up to you guys to decide. Fence it out. Talk down below in the comments section. So, again, as always, like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.
Until next.
Say it one more time.
Until next time.